All right, so in this quick video, we're just going to review the different types of quadrilaterals and how to identify a true or false statement, and maybe even how to draw one of the quadrilaterals given some certain specifications. All right, now from the top, pretty basic. We break all types of quadrilaterals down into one of two categories. If they have this set of parallel and another set of parallel, meaning two sets of parallel sides, it's a parallelogram. If it only has one set of parallel lines, it's a trapezoid. So this is the one set of parallel lines here, and this is just one set of parallel lines. One other thing I want to point out between the trapezoids is that you might have an isosceles trapezoid, or you might have the right trapezoid, and that's the difference between those two shapes that you guys see there, okay? The isosceles is the one that has the two sides right here. This is the same as this one. And the right trapezoid is called a right trapezoid because it has right angles. Now, once we call something a trapezoid, it's got to be one of these two shapes and that's it. But if it's a parallelogram, again, with two sets of parallel sides, it could have the two sets of parallel sides and then all four right angles, which makes it a rectangle. Or we could say that there's no right angles. However, we could say that all four sides are congruent and it still has, this is a set of parallel lines, and then this is a set of parallel lines right there. So it still has two sets of parallel lines. Now, if we put kind of both of these two ideas together, the rhombus and the rectangle, now we've made a square. The reason that is because the four sides are congruent, which matches a rhombus, and now we have four right angles, which matches the rectangle. So a square is a type of rectangle and it's a type of rhombus. Now, when we look at these true-false questions, it's basically true if the shape is under the other shape. It is a false statement if it's not underneath it. So let's take a look at this first one here. It says that rhombuses have four congruent angles. Now, this has actually nothing to do with being a type of another shape, so we can just answer this one on its own. Let's look here. Do we see that rhombuses have four congruent angles? Well, no. Because if you look, this one is bigger than 90 degrees. This one is an obtuse angle, but then this one right here would be an acute angle. So this angle and this angle are not the same as each other, so they're not congruent. So this is a false statement. Now, if I want to know, are all of these rhombuses considered squares? Are all rhombuses a type of square? This is a false statement. And again, this is false because the rhombus word, this word is not underneath this word. Now, if we switched it around and put are all squares rhombuses, then that would be a true statement because the square is a type of rhombus. All right, we're on the third one here. A square can be called a rectangle. So since this shape is under this shape, this is a true statement. All squares are rectangles because to be a rectangle, you just have to have opposite sides parallel and four right angles, and a square does do all of that. And if we want to know if all rhombuses have four congruent sides, now when we look here, this and this and this and this do indicate that those sides are the same. So this would be a true statement. Now, when you're looking for your, like just in terms of SOL review, it's just kind of a good idea to have this visual kind of memorized a little bit in your head so that if you have one of these true false statements, you can kind of visualize that it's like parallelograms were up here, then rectangles and rhombuses, and then squares. So the P, the two R's, and then the S. One year, one of my students told me that they thought about a cat for this because they were thinking like it purrs, which is super lame or whatever, but it kind of works if you remember that parallelograms and then rectangles and rhombuses are types of those, and then a square is a type of both of those. Now, if we need to just be drawing the quadrilaterals given some certain information about it, we can also do that here. So which one of these shapes up here, which one of these is the quadrilateral that has only two parallel sides and no right angles? Notice it doesn't say two sets of parallel sides. It just says that two of the sides are parallel and then there'd be no right angles. So up here for trapezoids, it's going to be the isosceles trapezoid because this side and this side, those are the two sides that are parallel to each other, and there's no right angles within this figure. So we're going to draw that one here now, the isosceles trapezoid. Okay. All right, had it said which is the quadrilateral with two sets of parallel sides and no right angles, then we would have drawn a parallelogram or a rhombus, because then it would have had this set's parallel and then another set that's parallel, and then no right angles. But it didn't say that. It just said two parallel sides. So again, that side and that side are parallel, so we know we've got a trapezoid. Boop. All right. Now, which is the quadrilateral that has four right angles and four congruent sides? So it's going to have four right angles and all the sides are the same shape. That's going to be our square. And you know that you can draw these little thingies in here to show right angles. And then to show me that you have four congruent sides, you can put this, 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 and this. And so this one here is the square. All right, we're on the third one here, which is the quadrilateral that has opposite sides that are parallel and no right angles. Now it doesn't talk about the sets, it just says the opposite sides. So that means that the top and bottom are parallel, and then the two sides are going to be parallel. And if there's no right angles here, it looks like we're going to have a parallelogram. It doesn't say anything about the sides being congruent or not, so we can't assume a rhombus. But this side right here would be parallel to the bottom. And then this side right here would be parallel to this side. And we have no right angles in the shape, so we are good to go. This is a parallelogram. All right, we're on the next to last one here. What's the quadrilateral that has two sets of parallel sides, and it has four congruent sides? So now that it tells us the sides have to be congruent, it's basically this shape, except all the sides are the same now, and that's going to be the rhombus. Again, we have two sets of parallel sides, this top and bottom, that's a set. And then this side and this side is a set, so we've got two sets of parallel. And then all four sides are congruent, so we have the rhombus. And last but not least here for this video, which is the quadrilateral that has one pair of parallel sides, so just one pair, and then there are two right angles. So that's going to be this trapezoid right here, the right trapezoid. Here is the one pair of parallel sides, and then we have two right angles. So I'm going to draw that one down here now. Right angle, right angle. And again, you can see this would be my one pair. That's a pair. The two sides make a pair of parallel sides. Okay. All right, that concludes this video on the Unit 11 Quadrilaterals review. Thank you for watching.